Okay, hello once more. So let's talk about the community build of SONiC, because we had some fun with that. Yeah, so basically, what is SONiC? I think Martin told enough about it. So SONiC is a network operating system. It's open source. It's from Microsoft, and so on. And in my opinion, this is the Linux of the networking operating systems, yeah, so this will help us out. Hopefully, there are still closed parts, like in the SI and the firmware stuff, there is still closed parts, and yeah. But it's a start, and like in Linux, yeah, you have also drivers there which are closed, and I think this is still a problem which is, yeah, will be resolved sometime, hopefully, yeah. So, what do we want to have from SONiC? Yeah? We want to have a real multi-vendor strategy. Yeah? So it should be platform agnostic. This means it should not be only not only run on a Broadcom ASIC, for example, because there are also other ASICs outside. So, for example, if you buy a Broadcom SONiC, it will only run on Broadcom ASICs, obviously, and you don't want that. Yeah, so. And you want to have the ability to fix code. This is possible in the community SONiC, but if you look into the pull request count of the SONiC project, yeah, you will be astonished. There are, I think, 1,000 at the moment open, growing. Yeah, so this is, yeah, maybe not how it should be. And there are lots of bug fixes which are really helpful for the SONiC. And yeah, this is a little bit sad that it's going like that. So let's then we have the commercial SONiCs. They are feature-rich, like I told you. For example, the Broadcom SONiC, this is really good developed. You install it on several switch platforms, all with Broadcom ASIC, of course. It's stable, you have a clean CLI, everything shiny, blinky, working, great. But you have time-based licensing, for example, and it's not very cheap with Broadcom, I can tell you. And it's, as I told you, built for specific platforms, and of course not open source. Yeah, this is there's a lot of stuff which is owned by Broadcom, which may not be used outside, and yeah, it's not a solution in our opinion. If you try to build a community SONiC image, yeah, first of all you need time. It's running. The build is taking a long time. Yeah, so 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. Yeah, so it depends a little bit on your internet connectivity and etc. If you want to build a CI pipeline around it, you need even more patience because it runs a long time, and it's really strange. Yeah? And you have from time to time you have unclear build failures. So you make a run in your CI pipeline, it fails. You don't change anything, you run it again, it doesn't fail. Interesting, yeah. So maybe there are some version stickiness missing. Yeah. So. And if you run SONiC on your switch, it gets even more interesting. Yeah? You have missing features like EVPN multi-homing. So then you have crashing SNMP containers if one power cord is missing, for example. So the interfaces were not shown. So this is the experience we had in January, February, something like that. Yeah? It's better now. Yeah, that's with the 2024 11 version. Yeah, so. But at the end, there are still errors, and there are fixes upstream which are not getting merged, and yeah, this is not very nice. Yeah, and our networking guys, they made a very nice executive summary for that, which shows it in a very short way. Yeah, the community SONiC is. Yeah, it could sound better. Yeah, so yeah, so but there's a way, I think. Again, my presentation. So yeah, I hand over to Marius.
Yeah, so as just heard, it's a little bit tricky to build SONiC, so there are very nice tutorials like the one from Stordis that I also used in order to, well, have some working version available. However, there's some stuff you can easily detect and identify. Yeah, specifically that you depend on specific sources, artifacts coming from, well, some huge vendors and yeah, different companies that mainly have SONiC still under control, which is nice in general that they for sure have provided SONiC in the first place, but I think we can do better in this context. There's a statement that has been provided by a guy from Dell, so Peter Black, at the Open Networking and Edge Summit in the beginning of the year, in the beginning of 2025, that already describes quite well the state in which SONiC is. So, well, they talk about the community version of SONiC, that it is available, and then they point out that, well, the really hardened version that is really useful in practice, so with all the regression testing, with vulnerability testing, and so on, is then provided by them. And is not part of this community version. And I think we should change something like that, so that there is really solid, also solidly tested, and also secure variant of SONiC available as a community version. Now, before I gave this presentation, I had some discussions with some of you in the first place about, well, the topic of this talk, and I've heard, whoa, this is really a sound thing to try, and really something that is difficult to achieve because it's a very complex domain. I mean, even if we, well, achieve some minor parts of it, or, well, have some improvements in general, there is a lot of work that has to be done, so don't underestimate a community build of SONiC in general. Specifically, that is, well, useful for broad spectrum of use cases with a lot of very specific aspects. If you go to all the protocol details of whatsoever BGP whatsoever has to be supported then in there, it gets really tricky, and we are then just talking about, well, the software part, so not what is in the south of the switch abstraction interface. So, well, that's then definitely another separate topic with even more complexity. However, well, thinking about a starting point, maybe we have some ideas. And yeah, in Alaska we had some ideas what a starting point could be, and then we can check how far we can drive it in general. So for the motivation of this starting point, let's have a look at the next slide. So here you see, well, the dependencies during just executing a SONiC build using the Stordis tutorial, and then, well, running some DNS top and checking which domains are accessed during this build. What you see here, just to translate this, is, well, Microsoft, or Microsoft for sure, Microsoft, and okay, some Google, and okay, maybe some really, well, yeah, some repositories driven also by open source communities. However, well, there's a huge domination by single companies who, well, initially have started SONiC. However, I think we can definitely do better here in a community version, and should start also with doing this better in the way that we can just check the current build scripts and build processes, and, well, replace stuff like that here, so that, for example, you have a reference to a traffic manager.net, which is a domain operated by Microsoft, and, well, a complete system behind it, and just start to build up own repositories and registries as Alaska, adding, well, the necessary build artifacts like Docker images, Debian packages, and so on, and then operating the build from there. That could be a very simple starting point by which we could gain some overall understanding of what's happening there, and then we could dig into the details of it. And yeah, let's see how far we can drive it and can push it, starting with this very simple approach that already brings some advantages. For example, we can speed up things, and we can just reduce the, well, amount of build failures that were just mentioned, so that you do not hopefully then run into some timeouts and so on as you do currently during the build process. Yeah, so maybe from there we can then drive it to some, well, more complex and more intensive discussions. So we could start about, well, some real release management. We could start about different tests together, maybe with vendors. So also the security testing and so on that we have seen. We could also talk about, well, some future perspectives, for example, like changing, well, the underlying build system using NixOS or something like this. I think there are quite interesting ideas that we could discuss. And we want to kickstart that. So everybody who is interested in that topic should join at that point in time. So the 3rd of December in, well, 1 month at 11 a.m. We will circulate as Alaska some channel in which we can have a synchronous discussion about it. And then let's see how far we can drive this and what we can make out of this overall perspective of a community-driven SONiC build. And let's see what we can report then during the ALASCA Summit in 2026. Thanks for your attention.